Hello, I'm the Angry Spork. When I was introduced to the X-Men through their animated series in the 1990s, I was also introduced to Rogue, a lovely southern powerhouse with memory issues and a mutant ability that kept everyone at arm's length. She was always fun as part of an ensemble, but how does she fare in her own series? I'm taking issue with Rogue's first ever 4-part title, which sees her face repercussions from things that happened in a miniseries we looked at earlier this year. Let's start with Rogue number 1 and see if this story makes us want to turn the page or turn our heads. Story and art duties are shared by Howard Mackey, Mike Wieringo, and Terry Austin, with colors by Dana Morshed and Mike Thomas. The cover features the character's name in shiny foil against a red to orange gradient as she soars forward. It's a little simplistic, but also seems very positive and borderline iconic. It seems like she could be flying into battle given her clenched fists, but her face looks much more at ease. That doesn't change on the opening splash page, though her hands are much more relaxed. Narration points out how free she feels cruising the sky, even with those two fighter jets on approach. Well, if you've ever wondered what the FAA would do if they ever found some superpowered people flying through the air, we now have our answer. Feeling just a bit playful, Rogue darts across the noses of the planes, faster than one pilot could see what that thing was. She flies back to flirt with the flyer, saying she doesn't much care to be called a thing, but leaves a memento anyway. I want to point out how she should not have been able to hear the pilots' comms, let alone flying around at high speed in the air like that. But all I can think of is how envious I am of a windshield right now. I'm so alone.
Bogey dropping off radar. What was it? One of the most beautiful women I have ever seen. Repeat. What did you say? Nothing. It was nothing. Let's head back to base.
Or you could tell me what you saw instead of trying to brush off an unidentified flying object that could have caused us to crash horribly. Nah, I'm good. All right, enjoy the court-martial then. About 20 minutes later, Rogue tells herself it's time to land and meet with Remy before getting ready for her trip to Mississippi. That's where we go to the next page, given a history of the Tyler plantation, how it had been bequeathed by a Civil War widow to a church, and now serves as a sanatorium for the gravely ill. In room 14A lies Cody, someone who's afflicted with a serious case of stole a kiss from Rogue just as their powers manifested. A kiss which stole his life from him. I think I would be immune. Rogue's powers involve absorbing the life from someone, and I have no life. We go to a gravesite in New Orleans, and because it's a gravesite, of course it's raining. Gathered there are members of the Assassin's Guild, mourning the loss of their leader, Belladonna's father. Her narration casts doubt on her dad's passing because his heart gave out, and it's then that they receive the unexpected arrival of Kandra, the External, and the tithe collector who looks good for someone that got exploded by Gambit. I guess we don't need any context for how he survived. Though no longer their benefactress, she still wanted to pay her respects, even if she thought Belle's dad was a bit overly ruled by his emotions. She feels now may be the best time to renegotiate old pacts, and leaves Belle, the new assassin leader, with the offer to talk later about Gambit, his mutant girlfriend, and what was taken from Belladonna. I'm sure once she finds out that Rogue accidentally absorbed her memories while she was in a coma, and Gambit lied about their marriage for her own good, Belle will be both understanding and amiable. After all, she is the leader of the Assassin's Guild now. Rogue touches down nearby Harry's hideaway, a popular spot for the X-Men at the time, when she gets hit on by some drunk bikers that have been thrown out of said establishment. They're looking for some fun with someone of the female persuasion, and she'll do. Firstly, feigning flattery, she's about to instruct them on how women actually prefer to be treated, but that's when Gambit shows up and blows up their bikes. Way to steal the spotlight, Cajun. And I guess he has a secondary mutant power of not being affected by explosions when he's 3 feet away! Anyway,
Rogue takes the boozers to the roof of the sheriff's office to be dealt with by law enforcement. Then it's to a booth in Harry's. She says that in the morning she's headed to World Stomping Grounds to see Cody, her childhood best friend that's been comatose since he first kissed her, an experience that is the basis for why she and Remy can't be together. He, on the other hand, thinks that despite their pasts, the two of them could still have a future.
You're still technically married, you dingus.
But all that tells Rogue is that he still doesn't get it. She can't change what she is, and what happened to Cody will be with her for the rest of her life. And not wanting that to happen to anyone else forces her into solitude.
Hey, something Rogue and I have in common. Though in my case, I have to be alone because my tolerance for stupidity gets thinner and thinner by the day. But hey, details.
Belladonna is going through her final test to be formally made leader of her guild, fighting a bunch of hand ninja that her people managed to capture and are told they'll be released if they kill Belle. This may raise eyebrows depending on how much you know about the hand. I don't know much, but it just seems kind of convenient that they have some famously deadly ninjas on hand for cannon fodder. Anyway, she's musing about Kandra's offer, even if her dad died thinking of the external as an enemy. As she stands victorious, Donna considers that allying with Kandra might be the best for her family and herself, given that Rogue and Gambit are the reason she has huge chunks of her memory missing. Some of her lieutenants arrive, telling her that they've gathered her requested intel reports, and with teams ready for her orders, Belle tells them to proceed.
It sounds ominous and threatening until you find out some of those plans were about designs for their Mardi Gras float.
At the Xavier Institute, Remy apologizes to Rogue with some roses, but she's already moved past their little conversation. That should probably sting more, but ever the tenacious flirt, Gambit stops her from leaving for a kiss. On the hand. She knocks him back onto her mattress, which, kind of the visual equivalent of phrasing, I guess, blows him a kiss and takes off. Storm happens by, and after a reference to how she and Gambit met each other years before, Aurora advises him to give Rogue some breathing room, and that her journey home should be done alone. So, of course, he gives her a peck on the cheek and heads out the window, fully intending to go after Rogue.
Such a wonderful listener, that one. Is he worried that he'll amount to little competition against a guy in a coma? Well, this is Gambit we're talking about, so that's a very valid concern.
Rogue is walking the halls of the Tyler plantation, as she has each year since that fateful lip lock, seeking some kind of forgiveness for something neither of them could have known about. Each year, Cody's condition goes unchanged. Each year she leaves in tears, and she wonders if she'll be able to love anyone else again or let someone else close. She finds Cody's bed empty and senses something wrong, only to get confirmation when an energy blast strikes her into a wall. A man named Fifolet stands before her, glowing like he had just bathed in kryptonite, and says her friend is safe, for the time being. She lunges at him, but he can go intangible, and flying through him seems to have an unexpected weakening effect on the muscles of a typically nigh-invulnerable woman. More assassins leave the shadows and attack, and she chooses not to fight back if it means keeping Cody from harm. A woman called Singer is summoned, who removes her blindfold to show a light construct of Belladonna. So I guess she's like a human, less practical Skype. Rogue warns Belle to leave Cody out of this, that the assassin's fight is with her, but Donna don't care, what with her memories being stolen. Remy's next on the list as, "Everyone, everything you touch, will be taken away." Rogue profusely apologizes for what she did as the lights fade and the killers are gone. The sisters enter the room, aghast at the state of things, and when offering to help, Rogue warns them not to touch her.
The subtext isn't exactly subtle, but I do still think it's very well done. Donna's threat is basically analogous to Rogue's powers, and her rejection of the sisters that are only looking to aid her is the same kind of arm's-length demeanor she's had to maintain because of those powers.
We briefly jump back to Salem Center, where Gambit is finally headed out, as Belle predicted, so relayed by another assassin, Grigri. Back in Mississippi, Rogue is flying through the air, unsure which of her threatened loved ones she'll reach first, as the issue comes to an end.
I don't know, maybe prioritize the guy in a coma? Even setting aside the superpowered forces the X-Men deal with all the time, this story is spun from one where we saw Gambit fight dozens of assassins at once. I think he can handle himself. Cody, not so much. We'll see how far Rogue gets in her frantic investigation next week. I'm the Angry Spork, and man, have I got issues.